basementbrewedff.com, basementbrewedff.com. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. It's Mikey Henninger. Mikey, you passed week 1. You're back for week 2, my friend.
Gentlemen, I said it last week. I'll say it again. No better way to spend a Friday. Thanks for bringing me back. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mikey, you remember last week how we were discussing between Jerry Jeudy or Tyrone Tracy?
And by the way,
if
you don't remember discussing Jerry Jeudy and Tyrone Tracy, that's okay.
Yeah, I just remember we spent a good 5 minutes or so on it, and they both ended with 9.1 points. Literally, just like to find out that they were the exact same player. Maybe that means it was a discussion, but I lost last week. I did lose. So
I can't say I remember that conversation. I answer a ton of these questions every week, but I do remember the Trevor Lawrence versus Aaron Rodgers question.
Yeah,
that one I can't forget.
The rest of my team just sucks, so that one didn't help either. But that one, you did give me the right call on Trevor Lawrence.
If you have fantasy football questions, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. It's Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. Text or call in your question. Is it? Do we give up on Mark Andrews or do we stick with Mark Andrews?
He's cooked, man. He's cooked. I hate to say it. I actually just texted a good buddy of mine, big film guru, and I said, "Have you watched the tape on Mark Andrews? Like, what's going on there?" It all kind of started last year. If you look at his numbers, he produced fantasy points, but he was solely touchdown reliant. If he didn't score touchdowns, he didn't get you fantasy points, and that's just not happening here. Baltimore, Isaiah Likely's ready to come back. I wouldn't feel good about having Mark Andrews in my lineup. I'm seeing him land on the waiver wire, and I'm not surprised by it.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked last week: Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray
this week?
I'm just annoyed by having them both on my team.
Well, I would recommend about 90% of the time that you don't carry more than one quarterback just in general. It depends on your league, but
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, I'd be fine with either one of those guys. That's a very much a coin flip. I will tell you, week 3, I want as much exposure to the Cowboys-Bears game as I can possibly get for fantasy football purposes. Like, Dak should have a pretty massive week this week. Kyler Murray's game is just kind of meh.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Mikey Henninger joining us here on Middays with Thunder. So in general, we are 2 weeks in, and of course we had a game last night. What did you learn from week 2 that you thought was true in week 1, and who have you flipped on after 2 weeks of play now in the world of fantasy football?
Man, that's a tough question, and I'm actually trying to pull up. I did a 21 nuggets I learned from week 2 blog just a couple days ago, but I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is the massive flip-flop between Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scadaboo, not just in touches, but in playing time. Tyrone Tracy's playing time went down significantly. I looked at whether or not he got banged up in that game, got injured or something like that, and that just wasn't the case. Cam Scadaboo just kind of ran away with it. Now, I could easily see the Giants flipping back. It might be more of a hot hand approach, but that is a red flag for Tyrone Tracy moving forward. It's a good thing for Cam Scadaboo. The other one that just came to mind, by the way, is Troy Franklin with the Denver Broncos. He had a huge game in week 2. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. It was like 9 targets, 8 catches, 80-some yards, and a touchdown. But more importantly than those things, he played, I believe, 88% of the offensive snaps as compared to 54% of the snaps, I think it was last week. So he is locked in as a top 2 wide receiver in Bo Nix's offense. And by the way, he has a bigger target share than Cortland Sutton does going into week 3. It's only been 2 weeks, but he is currently getting more targets than anybody else wearing a Denver Broncos jersey. So those are the quick 2 that come into my mind.
Troy Franklin, is that who you said?
Troy Franklin. Yeah, he's available in about 30. He's available in like 70% of Yahoo leagues. And I highly recommend anybody who plays fantasy leagues scoop him up immediately.
All right, I'm going to try to do that right now. I've never heard of this guy before. Like, why have I'm not a big college football fan, not nearly as big as I used to. And I know guys switch schools so much and it's like hard to know who the stars are anymore. But like, where did this guy come from?
College, I couldn't tell you. I also am not I could tell you if I pull up my records, but I'm not a big college guy. Like I don't have their colleges, their schools just tucked in the back of my mind. But I will tell you that coming into the draft last year, a lot of people saw him as a Deshaun Jackson type of wide receiver, very boom or bust. Now, the fact that he's
Mhm.
playing the amount of snaps that he is, second-year wide receiver, didn't really do much as a rookie last year, but he clearly showed well in training camp. He showed well in preseason, and now he's playing full-time snaps. While Marvin Mims, by the way, his snap share has actually declined. Troy Franklin's is climbing. So Denver's wide receiver room is in all kinds of flux. But as of right now, Troy Franklin looks like he's going to be a steal on the waiver wire.
You mentioned that you're looking at everybody in that Dallas-Chicago game. Can people start Caleb Williams this week?
Absolutely. He is my top streaming option in all of fantasy football. The Bears.
Wow.
I mean, I'm a Packers
Tommy,
fan.
you got that? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Mikey.
I hate to say it, man, but that game just looks mouth-watering from a fantasy standpoint. It has a 50.5 over-under. The Bears have a projected team total of 24.5 points. The Cowboys are getting absolutely demolished by quarterbacks. They're allowing the second most fantasy points per game against quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts got 24 plus. We saw what Russ did against Dallas last week, 30 plus. This is a guy who's become a journeyman quarterback in the NFL, and suddenly he's putting 30 plus fantasy points on Dallas. I mean, everybody who goes against the Cowboys, sans Micah Parsons, is getting their fantasy points. And I hate to say it because go Pack go, but Caleb Williams is, if you had Joe Burrow and you need a quarterback pickup this week, if he's available in your league.
That's what I had. I had Joe Burrow,
yeah,
and I picked up Caleb Williams, and I figured that was where to go.
He's a top start this week for sure.
So I'm not always an idiot, just sometimes an idiot.
Sometimes.
Look, man, anybody who plays fantasy football has plenty of idiot. Like, you're going to get it wrong just as much as you get it right.
Mikey Henninger joining us here from Basement Brew Fantasy Football. I got my flex issues again this week, though, Mikey, and I have some names here that I think one's gonna pop, but I just don't know which one. And I luckily took a late round, I guess not late, but later round flyer on Tet McMillan, as he, I think, could be something. But the other rookie dilemma I have, Tyler Warren looks like he's about to be awesome as far as a fantasy football player going down the line. But two tight ends in your lineup always feels weird and wrong too. And I have Trey McBride, so I'm not taking him out either at this point. Is it worth it putting two tight ends in the flex or rocking with Tet McMillan? The Carolina Panthers suck, Mikey. They just suck. And I know that Tet had a great game last week, but there could easily be 0 points on the board, it feels like, every time the Panthers go out and play.
So the beautiful thing about fantasy football, though, Tommy, is that sucky teams can still get you fantasy football points. And Tet McMillan is a great example of that. For instance, the Carolina Panthers this week, they're entering this game as 5.5-point underdogs to the Falcons, suggesting they will be playing this game from behind, suggesting they will be a negative game script. They're going to have to put the ball in the air, right? So if we can project 35 to 40 pass attempts from Bryce Young, who, by the way, balled out last week. He played really, really well. The number one guy he's going to be looking for is Tet McMillan. Now, the Panthers' projected total is 20. That's the Patriots. The Panthers' projected total is 19, so that kind of suppresses the ceiling a little bit. It suppresses his touchdown opportunity, so you're going to want to butter your bread on catches and yards. But if you're in a PPR league, Tet McMillan is going to be a solid option for anybody this week, just based on pure volume alone. Whereas the Colts, if we look at that Colts Titans game, that one's kind of nasty from a fantasy football from a fantasy football standpoint. But the Colts do have a nice implied total of 24 points that raises that touchdown ceiling a little bit. So there, it's going to be more about praying that he finds the end zone than it is on volume. But if you're in a PPR league, Tommy, I'm going to go Tet McMillan here, but it's a little bit closer than I think it is close. I can't blame you for trying to sort through that one.
Yeah, two tight ends look so gross when you put it in your lineup too, but
it's rarely good.
Yeah, I love Tyler Warren right now with the Colts. If anything is sustainable right now with Indianapolis, it feels like Tyler Warren. Maybe he'll be some trade bait later on to get something beefed up here. But I mean, otherwise the wide receiver room is Jamar Chase, Zay Flowers. Like I can't take either one of those two guys out.
So I want to ask directly off of that. How was Jamar Chase's value affected with Burrow out now?
Yeah, so I got to be honest, guys. I'm a little bit nervous, and that's because we do have some data to go off of. Like, Jamar Chase has already played in 6 full contests with Jake Browning, not including last week. And in those games, he averaged just 6.5 targets, 4.8 8 catches and 12.2 PPR points. So it's like it devolved, but it is important to recognize that was Jake Browning's rookie season. They showed a great connection last week. So I'm starting him with, how should we call it, cautious optimism this week. But I'd be lying if I said I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little bit worried.
Is it worth thinking about splash trade moves with Jamar Chase? Moving on.
You can look, I always say it can't hurt to put him on the trade block. However, I'd imagine that everybody else in your league knows about Joe Burrow and probably has the same hesitation. So you're probably not going to get the price tag that you want in trying to trade him. So
I think you seriously overestimate the intelligence of the people I'm playing fantasy football with. So I might.
Should there be
it can't hurt to put it out there.
Right.
Should there be a separate scoring situation for Brandon Aubrey? Like, should he get like bonus points just for like how effortlessly he kicked 60-yarders? And do you believe in bonus points in fantasy leagues for 50-yard field goals, 60-yard field? Like 50 used to be a big deal, but like if you're going to hit 60-yarders, should your kicker be getting bonus points?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of fantasy leagues that are moving to a scoring format that you get, what is it? I'm going to screw the math up in my head, but it's like 0.1 point for every yard. So for instance, a 54-yard kick would be 5.4 points. So
that's a lot of points for a kicker.
It's a lot of points, but it's a long field goal. You know, if you make a 65-yard field goal, that's arguably worth. 6.5 points is a lot, but still.
Right, that's worth more than a touchdown. And I don't know if you know this, but in real life, a touchdown is worth 6 and a field goal is worth 3.
In real, yeah. It's a good point, but they got to get their fantasy points from somewhere, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm ultimately, most of my leagues don't even have kickers, so I'm fine with that. But I am bringing them back because I've been working on a kicker research project to identify kickers that are going to score 10 plus points every week, and it's awesome.
Don't tell us about that. Save that for Mason for next week, because I don't know if you know this or not, but Mason Crosby is one of the greatest kickers in the history of Earth. We're gonna so we're next week, we know we're just gonna get taken over by all kicker talk for the entire segment by Mason. So
I got about 26 kickers in this list right here. So I'm ready when we gotta talk kickers. Yep.
Nice. I like that. Are you worried at all about Josh Jacobs, both just from a football standpoint and from a Cleveland Browns standpoint, because they have been able to limit the run to this point?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, volume is what wins fantasy football games. Volume is what gets you fantasy football points. And entering this game as 8.5-point favorites with a implied point total of 25 points, Green Bay should be able to control this game with their defense. They shouldn't have to throw, Jordan Love shouldn't have to be asked to do too much. It just projects as one of those games where Josh Jacobs should get 20 plus touches, 20 plus carries. It might be ugly. The efficiency might not be there, but if the Packers are going to score 25 points, then Josh Jacobs is a really good bet to find the end zone once or maybe even twice in this game. So I'm starting in with confidence. I recognize that the efficiency might come down a little bit because Cleveland's so good, but there's no way you can think about benching Jacobs in a game where they're favored by 2 scores and they're expected to score a really good amount of points.
No, I like that. Mikey, tell us a little bit more about how we can find all your stuff, read all your great stuff at basementbrewedff.com.
Yeah, basementbrewedff.com. You're going to be able to find my blog, my YouTube videos. If you want to join the BBFF family, there's a link that you can do so right there. I do have a promo code Thunder that gets you a nice discount if you do join the BBFF family. So other than that, man, I'm hanging out mostly on LinkedIn of all places. Mikey Henninger on LinkedIn. And then, the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football YouTube show. I do a live show 8 a.m. every Sunday. We just do start set questions for a good 90 minutes. So it gets a little sweaty in the basement for sure.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds so cool.
Can Tommy come over?
I mean,
you hear there's sweat in the basement and you're inviting him over? That's
no. I meant from like, awesome Sunday mornings.
Can Tommy and I just bring breakfast some Sunday?
Bring it.
Just hang out?
Yeah, man. Let's just group study in the basement, man. Every Sunday, 8 a.m. I gotta be honest, Tommy. I keep going back and forth. I keep looking at this Tyler Warren versus Ted McMillan thing. I might message you offline. Right now, I'm going Ted McMillan, but it's like 55-45.
I'm telling you, it's an interesting dilemma to have with these rookies.
I want to see the dual tight end. I want to see the dual tight end in the lineup.
Super tight end. That's what we're calling it now.
I'm gonna stick with the original answer. Ted's getting you 22% target share. They're gonna be throwing the ball. I'll stick with Ted stick with Tet here.
For now, we'll see. Sunday, be ready, Tommy.
Just ready. I'm
Don't
ready. I'll be tuned in.
Have your phone at least on vibrate. Don't have it on silent, so that if Mikey sends you a text,
Yep.
ready to go.
Yep.
All right. Mikey Henninger on LinkedIn, three N's actually. HENNINGER, not two right next to each other, not all three. But find him on LinkedIn, connect with him. All his good stuff is up there. And of course, it's also at basementbrewedff.com. Anything else you want to leave us with today, Mikey?
Go Pack, go, man. I think that's
right. That's right. That's the right answer. That is the right answer. Nailed it. You passed the test again. You're back next week.
Perfect, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mikey. This is a blast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. Talk to you soon. That's Mikey Henninger, fantasy football guru. Basementbrewedff.com. Basementbrewedff.com. He'll answer all your fantasy football questions. Just get him in to Middays with Thunder. Moving forward, the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder and Ellis, because he will be he will continue to be our guest at 12:20 every Friday. We will finish up with Matt LaFleur when we come back. I'll make my week 3 picks in the 1 o'clock hour. Matt Pauley is going to join us to talk some Brewers and Cardinals in the 1:20 hour as well, part of the Cardinals radio network. It's getting close. So this is what it's going to be like with the Mason Crosby Show. We're on from noon to 2. I feel like we've already morphed.
Well, this would
into
be
the Mason Crosby Show.
This is like coming up with the last segment here, I guess, right? Where we're 11 to. Well, if we start this show at 11, a 2-hour show,
but I'm just saying, like, when it's noon to 2, like we just hit Mikey and now we're keep going and we go to 2, and like I think this is already the Mason Crosby Show.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just not here today because he's doing other stuff. Like he's not he's golfing or whatever he's doing, family stuff. Like this is our time slot moving forward.
Yeah,
like we're in it.
We'll be talking all the time.
Exactly. This is Middays with Thunder. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder, on 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, The Fan, free on the Odyssey and iHeart apps. We're on YouTube as well. Find us on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee.